Are all of you ready to soar? It's a new Florida Atlantic Voice, the Inside Florida Atlantic podcast. I am the voice of FAU. Ken LaVicka, Florida Atlantic Voice, presented by Robes Law Group, ROBES, robeslawgroup.com. Personal injury lawyers based out of Delray, in the community for you. They're just the finest in the game, and I am so fortunate to work with them. Robes Law Group, ROBES, robeslawgroup.com. And I wanted to make it clear to everybody, this is the final Florida Atlantic Voice before American Conference Football Media Days. Folks, we have arrived. The long nightmare is over. It is officially football season. It is officially, quote-unquote, Maryland week, but you can call the season here. It has arrived when Zach Kitley and his counterparts in the head football coaching brotherhood of the American all descend upon the Queen City, Charlotte. Now, Cincinnati also calls itself the Queen City. Why? Not sure. I understand Charlotte. But Charlotte, the actual Queen City, and they're going to talk some ball and get us ready for the 2025 season. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to the Florida Atlantic Voice. It's so simple, and it helps me out exponentially. Just go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever black market app you use to get your podcasts or your favorite music to you, and just search Florida Atlantic Voice. Hit subscribe. It doesn't cost you any money, and these will come right to your device, and I will then reap the minute financial benefits of it. So thank you for that. Thank you for the support, and I really appreciate it. Sorry, I had to take a sip of cafe con leche. This is such an energy needed edition of the Florida Atlantic Voice that I had to go afternoon coffee here in the middle of summer. Now, before we talk some American Conference football, before we get to the American Conference and some of the changes that they've made here leading up to football media days, I want to say a heartfelt farewell to now former Florida Atlantic marketing director Rob Roselli, who is off to the University of Miami. He's been plucked by the Canes. Yet another reason to dislike that school to the south, not just keeping Dusty May on red after the Owls almost knocked off the Canes in basketball in 2021. But in all seriousness, Rob Roselli, what an asset he's going to be to the University of Miami, and what an absolute legend he was at FAU. And I was, it's one of those things where you obviously want the best for people that you respect. And so I was certainly happy for Rob when he reached out to me and texted me that he was going to be making the move south. And I also felt sadness and always, and I think it's common, a bit of trepidation of where does FAU go from here? But Rob's done a great job of cultivating a culture in the marketing realm in athletics, better than anybody I've ever seen from an FAU athletics marketing, my 20 years at Florida Atlantic. I mean, someone who just came in and dove in and wasn't afraid to make mistakes and was properly weird about the entire thing, was incessantly outside the box. The more brash and bizarre and off the wall it was, the better it was for a school like FAU, one that's desperately clawing, scratching, trying to find any sort of traction in the college athletics landscape. The way that Rob Roselli handled marketing, whether it was trying to latch on to the newest viral sensation, whether it was trying to latch on to something popular in pop culture, or bring something back out of the pop culture consciousness, like Seinfeld, and the tie-in with FAU basketball during the Final Four year. Del Boca Vista is something that young people did not know about, but it captured the attention of all of the millennial college basketball journalists, and then became something that had hurtling, unstoppable momentum. And so it's just stuff like that. Who else thinks of something like that? Embraces the region that FAU is in, where you've got to get unconventional. You can't just abide by the regular college marketing norms in not just South Florida, but if you micro focus it to Boca Raton. And Rob did that, and his staff did that as well as anybody. And Rob got to Florida Atlantic in 2018 and did a wonderful job of maximizing the late Lane Kiffin era and being able to gain exposure and maintain it off of that run of FAU football excellence, and the attention then that Rob paid to basketball. And it wasn't just the Final Four year, but as FAU basketball continued its steady climb under Dusty May, Rob and that entire marketing team continue to find fun reasons to come out to basketball games outside of just T-shirts, which was always the go-to for decades and decades prior to Rob. Not just T-shirts, but also trying to expose people to the team, trying to get the community excited about the program, and not just these free giveaways, these freebies. And did they happen? Sure. But were they the crux, the core, the base of what Rob was trying to do? Absolutely not. And then once the Final Four year came, Rob, with the unenviable task of, hey, this thing's a rocket ship, but how do we not just focus on the present, which is easy, but how can we extrapolate, and how can we plan ahead 6, 7, 8, 9 years from now? So if FAU basketball maybe has some up and down trajectory because of the nature of college athletics now, we're going to maintain this fan base. People are going to keep coming back for more, supporting this program, even in seasons where maybe they're not making a run in the NCAA tournament. And Rob is certainly eager to take on that task. And for a university that had suddenly been thrust into a spotlight, gone from basically nothing to top of the pedestal, like FAU ended up ascending to, it's not easy to hang on to that. It's easy to lose your grip by the fingertips and fall off, and just settle for, oh boy, we made it. There was no we made it in that spot. It was, how do we get better now? And I appreciate Rob for that. I have always appreciated Rob for that. And he has been a joy to work with, and him letting me in on some of the silliness that they did on the marketing side, and letting me be unabashedly me. If anybody follows me on social media, on Twitter, at KLV Says, on Instagram, Ken LaVicka, you know I'm a bit of a trash talker. I fight for the sanctity of the FAU fandom. I will put on the boxing gloves against any other fan base and go to work. And Rob knew that and appreciated it and embraced me for it. I'm an unconventional play-by-play broadcaster. I'm an unconventional voice of insert university here. And instead of, oh, Ken, maybe you should tone it down, Rob was like, no, let's go fight. Let's get after some of these other fan bases. We demand, deserve, command respect. That's speaking my language. And so I wish Rob Roselli all the best. I'm absolutely sick that he's departing, and I'm not going to see him on a regular basis. But I know he's going to crush it at Miami. I know he is going to become a gargantuan asset down there. And I also know he's going to continue to check in on FAU, because for what he did for FAU, and I think the way that FAU grew not only on him but into him, he's not going to just lose that. So a huge, vociferous, heartfelt thank you from myself to Rob Roselli, headed off to Miami after an amazing run handling marketing for Florida Atlantic. All right. As I mentioned, this is the last Florida Atlantic voice before we get to the American Conference Football Media Days in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, if you're on social media, and I always want to preface it with that because I'm someone who probably spends too much time on social media for a father of two, 41-year-old family man. And I think my wife would probably agree. On social media for the 2 weeks leading up to Monday, the 21st of July, the American Athletic Conference had been teasing something with a graphic that said simply 7-21-25. And an alarm graphic was set, like something you would see on your iPhone or your Android. That's right, Team Android. That's me. Go Android. Better cameras, in my opinion. Faster phone, in my opinion. And so there was 2-week deluge of these graphics, and there was some speculation about what it could be. Was the American going to drop the entire basketball schedule end of July? A little bit early, but it would be awesome. It would certainly be better than when it's typically done in late August or September. And then maybe there's a new logo coming for the American Athletic Conference. Maybe it's an announcement about rev share. Maybe there's been discussions with another team, perhaps an Air Force, to bring all the academies together for college football at the very least. Just a lot of fun chatter. What could it be? The American had everybody's attention. So then Monday rolls around, around 9 a.m. Eastern time, and we get the announcement from the American. We get the reveal spread across all of their social media channels and through press releases to every major journalistic entity that there is to be had in college athletics. And what folks was that announcement from the American Conference? It was a new name for the league, which now is officially the American Conference. No more American Athletic Conference. No more AAC, which was never officially any sort of acronym for the league. Instead, it's the American. Get it right. The American. The American Conference, the American, either one you want to use, do it. But there is no more AAC, no more American Athletic. It's the American Conference. But the league wasn't done yet after that announcement, after that highly anticipated reveal. Because what else did the American have in store for the general public and for fans of each institution that populate the American Conference? You guessed it, a mascot. SOAR the Eagle is the official mascot of the American. And before I say what I want to say about SOAR the Eagle, I want to sing the praises of Tim Pernetti and his time so far as the commissioner of the American. He has brought in a forceful sense of optimism and exuberance in the face of a not so simple situation where you have some schools of unequal revenue that have now found themselves in a league with a handful of other institutions, including Florida Atlantic, that don't have quite the revenue that we'll call them old guard do, like Memphis and Tulane and USF. And with the constant swirl of conference realignment, there are a multitude of rumors any given offseason, even within a season, that Memphis is looking to go to a power program, that USF is looking to go to a power program, that Tulane is looking to go into a power conference and follow the lead of the 4 schools before them: UCF, Houston, Cincinnati, all former American members who went to higher value TV deal pastures. Tim Pernetti, wonderful job to, when the subject came up, say, yes, American institutions, you need to schedule better in college basketball in order to lift up the entire league and stop this pretty consistent flirtation with one bid league, because FAU and UAB and Memphis aren't going to be there to bail you out every single year. Start scheduling better, UTSA. Start scheduling better, Rice. Start scheduling better, UAB. We get it. You have a good program, but now you need to start playing non-conference like you're that caliber of program. Tim Pernetti being on the forefront, on the front foot of rev share. Significant discussions well before the court ruling about what approach the American was going to take. And along with university presidents and athletic directors, Tim Pernetti leading the charge, saying we are going to have, at the very least, a revenue share floor that all institutions need to meet, or else they face repercussions. That's perfect. That's the only way that you not only, A, survive as a complete conference in this college athletics universe, but how you stay steady and competitive as well. It's not just survival. You want to stay competitive. And this ensures that both happen, or at least put you on the right path. That's phenomenal from Tim Pernetti. Hey, Army, you want to come into the conference? We're going to keep your bedrock rivalry with Navy. That's not going to change. You're going to maintain one of college football's greatest traditions. Just come into our league and make it better. And what did Army do in its first year in the American? Made it better, lifted it up. That's Tim Pernetti. Again, sensational. Tim Pernetti believes in the conference. He believes that this is a conference that has the right schools to continue to be right into the discussion for the one lone group of 6 entry into the college football playoff every year, that this should be every season a 2-bid league, at least in the NCAA tournament. Tim Pernetti has been a blast of energy that this conference needs, because you have to be aggressive now. You can't just rest on laurels any longer, not with constant peering eyes from the outside from the power conferences. And Tim Pernetti's done a great job of moving this thing forward. I wanted to make sure I put all of that on the record before I said this. Who in the hell was asking for a conference mascot? And not just a conference mascot, but in SOAR the Eagle, an upright, walking on 2 feet mascot that is roided up beyond all muscle capabilities. Nobody asked for SOAR the Eagle. And who is SOAR the Eagle for? Who saw SOAR the Eagle? And I thought the rebrand, the American Conference, that's great. Because as Tim Pernetti pointed out to front office sports, too many times the AAC and the ACC are confused with one another. We are not the ACC. They are not the AAC. Tim Pernetti dropping an anecdote that the first time that he went to Google AAC, ACC was the first thing that popped up in his search bar. This is the right thing to do. The American, of course, this should be the name of the conference. The AAC was always dumb, and I'm not sure why the league continued to allow itself to be used as that acronym. Why did it need athletic? It's a conference. We know it's athletic. The American Conference, perfect. But again, the animated eagle, SOAR the Eagle. Why? And especially, again, an eagle that looks like it just moments before had a massive syringe that was inserted deeply into the meat of its left thigh, delivering something anabolic to every extremity. And I think that the worst thing you can do in 2025 is also have a mascot that takes itself too seriously. I mean, look at the success of the Pop-Tarts Bowl and just how super bizarre, almost confusingly weird that is. That you've got Pop-Tarts that are begging to be killed by the winning team of the Pop-Tarts Bowl. And the Pop-Tarts brand has made it a thing because it appeals to the increasing amount of sports weirdos out there that are desperate for something different. The Pop-Tart Bowl works because the Pop-Tart Bowl in no way takes itself seriously at all. Not one iota. So the American in 2025 introduces a mascot as if that's going to make some sort of appreciable difference for anything or be something to be proud of and identifiable by. And it takes itself way too seriously. Here's the tweet from Monday the 21st by the American introducing SOAR the Eagle. By the way, follow it on Twitter at @SOAR_the Eagle. The edge, the energy, the emblem of the American. #build to rise with SOAR the Eagle and his protruding muscles through what I presume to be an American Conference football jersey. But then they weren't done. The American also unveiled SOAR's story. By the way, it's SOAR, SOAR, as in fly, just in case. And I know this is largely an audio medium, just in case there was any sort of confusion. SOAR has a backstory. And again, remember what I just said about mascots being taken too seriously, brands thinking that people want something to inspire when it comes to sports in this capacity. SOAR the Eagle is the American Conference's first ever conference ambassador. SOAR is a multi-platform brand symbol designed to personify our values and story. In fact, we're the first collegiate conference to unveil both a live and animated character to represent its brand. SOAR's very identity reflects our DNA of innovation, grit, and service. His name SOAR, evoking upwards flight and aspiration, aligning perfectly with the rally call Built to Rise. From day one, he's been engineered to engage a wide range of audiences and to bridge the gap between the physical and digital realms of fandom. Boring. I mean, what are we doing with this? You mean to tell me, and I've had nothing but pleasant experiences with the conference since Florida Atlantic joined the league. Nothing but pleasant experiences. The people are great. They're helpful. They reply in an instant. They want to make the school's lives comfortable, and they want to make those who work for those institutions feel welcome and desired. And it's why I cannot bring myself to role play in my head the scenario in which somebody high up in the league and some outside marketing entity sat down and said, you know what we need in 2025 as a league that is trying to survive amongst the big money power conference masses? You know what's going to make a difference? You know what's going to be relatable? You know what's going to connect with people? A steroid-ridden Eagle mascot. I just for the life of me don't understand what the rationale is behind that. So needless to say, I hate it. Again, I don't understand why SOAR the Eagle exists. And I suppose that somebody said, well, hey, the Olympics have a mascot every 4 years, winter, summer. And it's really cool because then the mascot, there's a mini mascot or a separate version of that mascot for every sport. And I'm sure that the American is going for that. But there's no reason for it. The money that was paid to this marketing arm that came up with this mascot probably could have been put to better use. I don't know. Like maybe an open bar at football media days or something. I don't know. It's just so, everything that this conference has done since FAU joined has been so major league. It's been, even as so many want to tear it down, even some of the schools under its umbrella, under its purview, who want to keep trying to disrespect it. It has been so above board. It has been such a vast change from a lot of the times in Conference USA with that rinky-dink TV deal. Like, this has been big league stuff. But SOAR the Eagle, introducing a mascot like that's going to make a difference or move the needle in college athletics, and a mascot and a reveal that took itself way too seriously. I mean, profoundly too seriously. That's a big miss, and that's minor league. There's just no reason for it. And I'm not trying to be edgy for the sake of being edgy. I'm sure I'm going to talk to Tim Pernetti face-to-face here sometime soon as the football season approaches. And I've been trying to get him on this podcast, and the American has been working to find an open date for him and for me. That might change after this. I don't know, but I do want to ask him. Again, the rebrand is perfect. Of course you want to be the American Conference. The American, no longer the AAC confused with ACC. Bravo. That's branding 101. Perfect. But who's the mascot for? I mean, who is the mascot for? And will they let me dress in the mascot outfit at the conference basketball championships in Birmingham this March? That's the real question to Tim Pernetti. All right. We are going to have a post American Conference Football Media Days edition of the Florida Atlantic Voice, just like we did last year when Zach Kitley takes the podium. We'll come back and we'll assess everything that FAU's first year head coach had to say in his preparation for this 2025 season. And I hope every coach is asked about SOAR the Eagle. You know what SOAR reminds me of? A little bit different, but I think there's some parallels here. The American clearly thinks like they're on to something. Hey, here's a mascot. It's going to be so cool. This is what we needed. It reminds me, for anybody who's my age, and I'd say anywhere between 35 and 45, maybe upwards to 50. You watched The Simpsons, most likely. A good amount of Simpsons growing up. You remember when the TV channel, the network that ran Itchy and Scratchy, the cat and mouse murdered one another cartoon that was a staple of Bart and Lisa's TV viewing, and Homer's on The Simpsons, Itchy and Scratchy. The TV network thought that Itchy and Scratchy needed to change. They needed a new character that was cool and edgy. That's how it was literally described in the show, cool and edgy. And they came with Poochie the dog. Hey, kids, don't do drugs because Poochie says so. He'd play his guitar and then he'd ride off on his skateboard. And it's The Simpsons making fun of the 90s desire to try and create cartoon figures to send societal messages to impressionable young children. It's what it sort of feels like the American is doing here. SOAR the Eagle is the American Conference's Poochie the dog. I just needed to get all this off my chest because I don't get it. And who knows, maybe someone with the American will come up to me and say, Ken, hey, loudmouth, here's the reason it works. This is why we needed it. And they'll explain it to me and I'll say, you know what? Friendly American compatriot, I agree. My apologies. I'll admit when I'm wrong, but for now, me, Ken LaVicka, I do not understand SOAR the Eagle. But then this transitions us into another discussion about this conference as a whole, about the American and about what it is and what the membership institutions want it to be and believe it to be. And again, I'm speaking solely from an FAU perspective. I'm not speaking for FAU. I want to be clear about that. But I'm speaking from an FAU perspective as somebody who's in it and is seeing this day to day, night to night, fall through spring. Okay. The American is just such a better organized, forward-thinking desire to compete at the upper echelon entity compared to what Conference USA was. There's a reason that Conference USA is continuing to hemorrhage teams. Texas State and now Louisiana Tech and Judy McLeod, the commissioner, no surprise, at their football media day, she sat there, took only 2 questions from assembled media at their press conference, at their introductory press conference, and then walked off the stage so that she could not be faced with any questions about Louisiana Tech and Texas State's departure from the league. And it reminded me of how little she was seen or made herself physically available to anybody in the 2023 Conference USA basketball tournament. I mean, there were several broadcasters of institutions like our own that were leaving for the American the following year that Judy McLeod just flat out wouldn't make eye contact with, wouldn't address. The only time Judy McLeod talked to me at that 2023 Conference USA basketball tournament was after we all got done celebrating in the FAU locker room, and all of us with the FAU traveling party took photos with the trophy and with the net and with our hats and shirts and all of that stuff. Judy McLeod walking through the tunnel of the star. I walked by her and she had the cardboard FAU Owlhead logo cutout that every team had hung near their locker rooms during the tournament. And she said to me, "Here, you can take this. We don't need it anymore." Those were the only words Judy McLeod spoke to me the entire Conference USA basketball tournament. Like that right there reminded me of Judy McLeod taking 2 questions at the Conference USA football media days. Okay. So again, the American, it's more professional. It's there's a stronger purpose. And it's not as if Conference USA doesn't want to win. And they were part of the group of 6 New Year's Day Bowl a couple of years ago with Liberty, unfairly. But still, they were there. And this whole thing has just had a better feel. And it would be easy for Tim Pernetti and for the league to be petty or snarky when it comes to some of the outright disrespect it is shown by not only fan bases, but I think the institutions as well that have been in this league for a while, that maybe are hoping and praying for a bigger media rights payday than the one that they have now, which is best in the group of 6. And maybe it's time that Tim Pernetti needs to get a little snarky, get a little aggressive, because to have it reported that Memphis went to the Pac-12, not the Pac-12, Memphis went to the Big 12 and said, hey, we will pay you $250 million of FedEx money, and we for 5 years won't take any media rights money, but we need to be in your league. Please take us. Here's $250 million. And the Big 12 looked him square in the eyes and said, no, thank you. And that breaks the same day as the American rebrand and SOAR the Eagle, but breaks the same day that the American is right before their football media days start, trying to reinforce the message that this is a strong, congruent unit, that even with winds of conference change still wafting, is for now staying together in solidarity and are continue to move forward. And the mission is continue to fight to be in the college football playoff, to get their piece, to be considered for the NCAA tournament outside of just one team. Putting all of the pieces in place, and you've got Memphis going backdoor, trying to, like a fraternity brother, buy its way into some new friends. It's not a good look. That is not a good look at all. And I have to wonder, did Tim Pernetti know about it? Did he know that Memphis had been having back channel conversations? But the fan bases are so loud about their disdain for the league at Memphis and at USF in particular. And listen, I understand wanting to elevate your profile. Florida Atlantic's done it 3 different times in my tenure at FAU. Now, none of those occasions were FAU fans just openly disrespectful and tearing the conference apart that they were physically in at the time. But, I mean, the way that the Memphis fan base disparages the American, the way that USF fans disparage the American, I understand feeling left behind as UCF leaves, as Houston leaves. I suppose prior to that, as UConn leaves, Cincinnati. I understand feeling left behind, but you were left behind for a reason. You still find yourself in the most powerful group of 6 conference in all of college athletics. I understand the angling to get into the ACC or to get in to the Big 12. But whatever happened to any sort of transparency in the process? And I'll ask Tim Pernetti this as well. Does he wish that there's transparency between these schools and some of their flirtations? Because to me, I thought it was so off-putting, not only Memphis offering up $250 million to get in to their power league, and they tried to go the SMU route, who bought its way into the ACC. But then Memphis was turned down, like flatly turned down, not interested. What an ego hit that is. And that's supposed to be the benchmark athletics program, the benchmark school now, the one to strive for in the entire league. And they just got flat out smacked to the turf by the Big 12. By the way, Memphis, an athletics program trying to pay $250 million FedEx bucks to get into the Big 12, just a week after the basketball program is put on probation because a counselor is paying softball players to do homework for a basketball player. A basketball program that, with Penny Hardaway in charge, has had violation after violation after violation after violation. So, again, like that's the school at the top of the heap right now. Not great. Not great. So not only is the American having to handle Memphis's dirty laundry, Memphis is trying to buy its way out of the Big 12, or to the Big 12, and have that break on a rebrand day. Like if I'm Tim Pernetti, I'd be furious. So again, I understand the want and the desire to move up a notch in life. But while you're in this league, it might be a good idea to at least try to push forward with the league to ensure that public perception isn't stained to the point, because these are still human beings, a committee that determine who goes where and what, rankings that are determined by people that then help to determine who gets into the college football playoff at this group of 6 level. If you keep internally smearing your own conference and tarnishing its reputation, meanwhile, the Sun Belt, they move in lockstep with one another. I'm not saying that they're ever going to be considered for that lone college football playoff spot, but they at least are all pulling in the same direction. The Pac-12, they're all pulling in the same direction. But in the American, you would think this is the dregs of college athletic society here, the way Memphis fans and USF fans act especially. It's distressing. Hey, do you want when it comes time to make tough decisions for the NCAA tournament or the college football playoff, do these committees, do they want a school that has hacked away at its conference's reputation? Oh, yeah, we won the league. We're awesome. Everyone else in this league sucks because this is a sucky league. But yeah, we're here to go play for a championship. Or do you want we went through a tough schedule with really competitive teams in a really good league, and we deserve to get in? Which representation of a resume do you think those committees are more attracted to? It's B. And there's too much of approach A in the American right now. And I get FAU's in a little bit different situation. FAU's new to the league. Still has that new car smell. We have a lot of pride being in the American. It has raised our profile and assisted the athletics department extensively from a financial standpoint. And again, I get Memphis has been there, done that. USF has been there, done that. Tulane's been there, done that. East Carolina's been there, done that. Tulsa's been there, done that. But I think that these schools that have come in for the most part from Conference USA, because this appears to be at the crux of the anger that pours from the primary Memphis and USF fan bases. I think that a vast majority of the schools that have come in from Conference USA a couple of years ago have acquitted themselves extremely nicely. Okay? UTSA in football, especially. Florida Atlantic, UAB in basketball, especially. The revenue sports. Like when it comes to USF, where are you going to go? I get you have a big enrollment. I get you have a big endowment. I get you have good facilities and a football stadium going up. You haven't won more than 6 football games in a season forever. In forever. You've never gone to an NCAA tournament, even in a year where you won the regular season championship, where universes aligned to get you to that point. So I guess I'm just annoyed with the lack of pulling in the same direction in this league, because I thought it would be different. Because people griped and moaned around Conference USA, and I remember being frustrated with that, but at least I understood it because the TV deal sucked, and it always sucked. You have a phenomenal media rights deal in this conference. And while you're in it, you should play to win it and try and lift it up. That's just my personal opinion. And if I hear someone from the Pac-12 one more time, from any of the fan bases in the Pac-12 say, oh, Memphis, they should come to our league. They should come to the new Pac-12. Why? What's the point of that? Yeah, you've got some notable schools in the Pac-12. Why would Memphis leave the American? And it drives me even crazier when Memphis fans agree. Why would Memphis leave the American for what appears to be, by all accounts, all reports, a lesser TV deal in the Pac-12? There is not one verifiable source that has shown me, and man, have I looked, that anything about this CBS core TV deal that the Pac-12 has is more lucrative than what the American has. That it has a better payout to its individual members than what the American pays out to its individual schools. So why? What's the point of that? Why? Well, you get to play with San Diego State. Great. So I'm not trying to go all cheerleader, rah-rah, have to be in love with the American Conference at all times. But all I'm saying is, from a perception standpoint, when rallying around the conference and campaigning for the strength of the conference really matters, and there's a lot of money on the line for it, not just league, but also individual schools within the league, maybe it's time to, you can do your flirting, you can do all that stuff, but maybe tone down the evisceration of the league that houses you at this point, because it's still the number one group of 6 league, in my opinion, in all of college football, and certainly needs everybody to rally around and do their part to re-elevate it to where it should be in the mid-major basketball realm. So I just wanted to make sure that was on the record before we get ourselves to American Conference Football Media Day. American Conference Football Media Day in Charlotte. Don't forget to subscribe to the Florida Atlantic Voice. Tell your friends. Tell the incoming FAU students in your life. Tell your family, your FAU alum family, or FAU fans in your life. Subscribe to the Florida Atlantic Voice, presented by Robes Law Group, ROBES, RobesLawGroup.com. Personal injury lawyers in the community for you, based out of Delray Beach, ROBES, RobesLawGroup.com. We are going to have our post-football media days edition of the Florida Atlantic Voice. Hopefully that's going to drop at some point this weekend, but Zach Kitley will head to the podium, and we're talking some FAU football. The season is here, and hey, camp gets going at the time you're listening to this, in all likelihood just a couple of days away. We're going to have plenty of content from out at the Schmidt Family Complex. Thanks for listening, and keep subscribing. I'm Ken LaVicka, the voice of FAU. This has been the Florida Atlantic Voice, presented by Robes Law Group. Bye-bye.